The Republic of Yucatan, or just Yucatan, is a small nation based on the Yucatan Peninsula. The small nation shares a border with Mexico to its west and a southern border with Guatemala and Belize. Yucatan is divided into the four states of Castilla, Acanpec, Merida, and Tulum, with the federal capital zone at the city of Castilla. The republic has a U.S.-style government, with the federal government reigning supreme, and the state governments being allowed to handle regional affairs. The federal government and state governments are split in three branches identical to the U.S., with the legislative branches represented by the Senate and House of Representatives, the executive branch represented by the president and vice president, and the judicial branch being represented by the federal and state courts. The president and vice president serve for 7 years, being allowed to hold office and run an election twice. The republic holds good relations with the US, NATO, the EU, Saudi Arabia, Australia, and New Zealand. While they have good relations with a variety of countries around the world, the countries I just listed hold the best relations with Yucatan. Yucatan uses the imperial system, being one of the only countries to do so. The republic also uses the GMT -6 time zone, with the exception of the small town of Palizada, which uses GMT -8. The Yucatan government has capitalized on this, making the town a large tourist zone as people come from around the world to be in one time then the other. Yucatan has a large variety of geographic features. The entire country is heavily forested, with massive rainforests sprawling the interior. Its coastal areas lay at a similar height to Florida, making it a prime place for settlement. As you enter the interior, the elevation starts to get higher. The Yucatan Peninsula has over 700 islands in its name, including the Achoy Cat Reef, which was terraformed to allow for tourist activity. Overall, Yucatan is an extremely warm region, with temperatures during the summer reaching an average of 93 degrees Fahrenheit or 34 degrees Celsius, in the winters reaching an average of 82 Fahrenheit or 28 degrees Celsius. The official language of Yucatan is Yucatec Maya, with all citizens required to learn it. From a point of view of language percentage, 97% of citizens speak Yucatec Maya, 83% speak Yucatec Spanish, 27% speak English, and 5% speak other indigenous languages. Yucatan in 2022 has a growing population of 23 million due to a baby boom that started in the 70s and is still taking place. Its largest city is currently CANCUN at 4.9 million, with Merida and Costilla not far behind. These are the top 5 largest cities based on population. Cancun is a city of 4.9 million people and is a huge part of the Yucateco economy due to its 15 million tourists annually. The city also hosts many former Mayan ruins, adding to the tourist visits. Notable Yucateco celebrities and political figures, such as the famous rapper Kichi Gonai, Yucatan President Villalobos, and actor Marty Perez, all come from Yucatan. Cancun is deemed the Los Angeles of Yucatan. Cancun is also the capital of the Castillo state. Merida is a city of 4.1 million and is quickly growing. It was formerly the first Yucatan capital before Castillo and hosts a lot of Yucatan history. Merida is extremely popular among tourists as a majority of buildings are made of white stone and the streets and city in total is the cleanest in Yucatan. The city hosts Yucatan's main tech industry. Merida is also the capital of Merida State. Castillo, or the Federal District of Castillo, is a city of 3.7 million. It is the capital of Yucatan and hosts all three branches of government. It is based in the interior Yucatan near the Chichen Itza. The city began in the town of San Felipe Nuevo and was renamed to Castillo in homage of the priest Miguel Hidalgo y Castillo, who was seen as the father of the revolution. Ciudad del Carmen is a city of 2.8 million based in the state of Tulum. It is based on the Isla del Carmen and is deemed the New York City of Yucatan due to its large population and island location. The city and its outer boroughs are also expected to fully sink into the ground by 2040 as sea levels rise. Chetumal is a city of 1 million on the Yucatan-Belize border. The city grew due to trade with the US and British Honduras. The city hosts a presidential vacation home where the president usually resides for 5 weeks out of the year. The Yucatan Rebellion began in 1841, and during the Mexican-American War, the region was allowed to remain independent afterwards with some cooperation from the U.S. It quickly reformed its constitution into one similar to the U.S. and remained a close friend of the U.S. Mexico, however, was angry at this, but couldn't really do anything about it. They never did drop their claim on the nation, though. Yucatan introduced Yucatec Maya as the official language and began a revival of Mayan and indigenous cultures and languages in the newly independent republic. Yucatan played a small support role for the U.S. during the Spanish-American War, sending 30 volunteers to the U.S. In 1917, Germany sends Mexico the Zimmermann telegram, in which they promised the territories of Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and Yucatan if they joined the war against the U.S. Mexico accepts, and the U.S. joins the war. Mexico crosses into Yucatan and American territory. Yucatan falls quickly, and as the German economy collapses, the war falls out of Mexico's favor. The U.S. invades Veracruz and captures Mexico City, like they did during the Mexican-American War. During peace deals, Yucatan is liberated, and the U.S. takes Baja California, Sonora, and Chihuahua. The Treaty of Versailles plays out as it had in our timeline, and Europe and the Americas are officially at peace. Yucatan's economy is in ruin, and the fascist movement quickly rises in the war-torn state. Fascist leader Gonai rises to power in 1927 and declares the Yucatan people the master race of the Americas. Yucatan industrializes heavily during this time and joins the Axis powers as World War II begins. Yucatan sends 2 divisions to Europe to aid the Germans. In 1941, the U.S. joins the war, and in 1943, navally invades Yucatan, occupying it within a month. In 1945, Europe is secure, and the U.S. reinstates Yucatan's former government. The Marshall Plan is extended to Yucatan to rebuild the nation from the devastating U.S. occupation. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, Yucatan hosts several U.S. nuclear missiles aimed at Cuba in the event of nuclear showdown. They were moved from Yucatan as the crisis comes to an end. During the 17th, the Yucateca baby boom begins, and from 1975 to 1990, the population grew over 12 million. In 1991, the USSR collapses, ending the Cold War. During the early 2000s, the tech industry begins to grow, and MERIDA becomes the center of the industry. In 2020, Yucatan is hit hard by the coronavirus as the government isn't prepared. By 2021, the COVID situation in Yucatan clears up as the vaccine is released. 80% of the people get the vaccine. In 2022, the rate rises to 90% vaccinated.